Donald Trump's campaign in Arizona is starting and he's walking on stage. Oh, dude, this is craziness.
Next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land.
God bless the USA. You think it's good Trump is great for the world because he will destroy the USA? No, because I don't think you understand, dude. Empires don't just like quietly crumble, okay? Like all of those people in Arizona who are radicalized towards the border are never going to vote for Kamala Harris. They're primed, right? But there are probably young Hispanic voters, especially, but young voters in general, that would very likely think about the Kamala Harris campaign in a different way if she communicated in a different way.
And look past our differences to unite around.
They're showing the entire rally because you know Trump was like, we're packing the halls and I want you to show the entire rally. Like this is a rally flex now.
You burn the American flag, you go to jail for 1 year. Nobody's going to be burning the American flag anymore.
Wait, that's against the First Amendment.
And when she ran against this guy, and I'm no fan, he was the worst president in the history of our country. He let in millions and millions of people through her. Let in millions of people would destroy our country.
You missed the ad? The Ivermectin ad? I'm a right side broadcaster watcher, like a permanent watcher. You think I missed those ads? I've seen them every day. I've bought all the Ivermectin.
I don't think he is a great person. I've known him for so long. For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
There's something to be said about like how unimaginably invested they are in being as weird as possible, because here's a guy who somehow was way weirder than the Republicans.
For the past 16 months, Bobby has run an extraordinary campaign for President of the United States. I know, because he also went after me a couple of times. I didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
And I mean this sincerely. Had he been allowed to enter the Democrat primary, he would have easily beaten Joe Biden, but they wouldn't let him in.
Robert Kennedy Jr. described Trump before getting promised an admin job. A terrible human being, the worst president ever, and barely human. He probably is a sociopath.
Top experts working with Bobby to investigate what is causing the decades-long increase in chronic health problems and childhood diseases.
Bro, we're going to get so much weirder. This campaign is going to get even weirder, dude. It's awesome. Did he say he's going to reveal the truth of the JFK assassination? Please tell me he said that.
Our children are now the unhealthiest, sickest children in the world. Don't you want healthy children? And don't you want the chemicals out of our food? And
I'm not kidding. For a very specific type of voter, this is like the greatest move. Like there are so many Americans who don't mind all the forever chemicals and everything. They don't think about it at all, but they also simultaneously hate modern medicine and think that like as long as you know you eat like a weird diet, everything will be fixed in your life. And there are a lot of people like that. And for them, this man is the God. Okay, he's speaking God's honest truth.
Thank you all very, very much, and God bless you, and God bless America.
I think there's, I don't know. I look, you know, not to be too much of an optics guy, but like, it is funny that he's just like talking about, don't you want your children to be free of cancer? And it's like, bro, you look like you have all of the cancer. You look like you captured the essence of cancer. Like you sucked it out of everyone else in the room. I think there's also something really funny about RFK. There's so much. I love RFK so much. Man, I should have stolen the RFK Jr. hat that Brace had. God damn it. Okay, I up. Like he gave it to me. He let me wear it for a little bit, and I was just like, I should just kept it. What he's saying is pretty reasonable. Shut up. Shut up. Don't even start. Okay. No, it is not reasonable at all. Okay, give me a goddamn break. This man is anti-medicine, dude. He's anti-medicine. There is nothing reasonable about what he's saying. Okay, I love RFK Jr. because he is such a contradictory character, right? He has the capacity to like, he's a crank magnet. He's what I like to call a crank magnet. Isn't this bad for Trump overall? Aren't most independents really repelled by this? Trump did this because he's desperate. He did this because he wanted to either A, take out RFK from the ballots and get some kind of endorsement from him, because RFK was eating away at Trump's base. All of the triple polls that showed in swing states, the direct doubleheader matchup between Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris looked a lot closer, and even in some instances, Donald Trump winning.
You see, Trump was leading Biden. Kennedy was sitting there at 9.2% on average, and it was a lead there of 3.5 points. Donald Trump was leading Joe Biden. Now, Biden gets out of the race, Harris gets in the race, and that's been a little bit more than a month now. But you see Harris, Trump, Kennedy. A couple things you notice. Number one, in the month since Harris replaced Biden, the Kennedy support's dropped almost in half, now just over 5% on the average. And that Harris support relative to Biden, look at that. That's gone up significantly, almost 7.5 points. The Trump support is more level, only up about a point right there. So you could see Harris actually pulling into the lead here over Trump in the three-way now since she became the candidate. And here's where it gets interesting. What if, the polling's been out there without Kennedy? What does it look like, Harris versus Trump? And here you can see it. Harris still leads, but it gets tighter. Look, in a three-way race with Kennedy, Harris's margin over Trump is 2.7 points. Without Kennedy, Harris's margin over Trump is 1.6.
With RFK Jr. on the ticket, all of a sudden, he would take some from the Democratic Party, but he would take a more from Donald Trump. So he had to get him out because obviously this race for Trump is in the margins now. Like, that's a big boost. He'll get a big boost. It will also probably scare away some of the more like moderate voters, if he even has moderate voters at all, like Trump at this point in his base of support. What I want to talk about is how RFK is a crank magnet, but also incredibly contradictory as a figure. Because as a crank magnet, he presents himself as anti-establishment, despite the fact that he is from a literal political dynasty, the Kennedys, right? They are politics. This is an American political dynasty. Number two, literally, he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah. So, and you run into everybody in New York. I mean, I knew Harvey Weinstein. I knew Roger Ailes. I knew O.J. Simpson came to my house. Bill Cosby came to my house. Yeah. And Glenn then comes to the United States. It's hard for them to live here. And she comes and I think my impression was that, and I don't know, she was always wonderful to me and, kind.
While he is the guy who's like, yeah, I want to take out the deep state. He's like, bro, you literally were homies with Jeffrey Epstein. Self-admitted homies with Jeffrey Epstein. That's crazy. That's crazy. And on top of that, he is one of the, just like Donald Trump, biggest writers of Israel. It makes no sense that these crank guys who almost always are like, yeah, Jews are in control of American media and everything else, also simultaneously like going for two guys that are somehow more ultra-Zionist than Kamala Harris is. Like, that's crazy. So it makes no damn sense, even in the weird worldview that they've cultivated, The
horrible, horrible event of Afghanistan. I was dealing with the leader of Afghanistan, Abdul, and I said, Abdul, you can't kill our people. He was killing our people.
Bro, talk with him. I'm not he's hella low energy, dude. God damn, his heart is not in it. What's your view of down ballot voting? I love voting. I love down ballot voting. I'm a big advocate for down ballot voting. You should do it. You should also avoid seeing the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour. Those are the two policies at the HasanAbi broadcast.
Is that Sheriff Joe?
Sheriff Joe Arpaio? He's not dead? How is he not dead yet? One of the most racist men in Arizona. Joe Arpaio literally did like Israel-style prisons in Arizona. He had straight-up concentration camps that he was running.
And two other warriors, a young one and a little bit older one, but boy, they are tough. You don't get tougher than Eli Crane and Paul Gosar. Paul Gosar.
Paul Gosar, the Groyper candidate.
Great people.
Paul Gosar is a literal Nazi, Chad.
Wow. He's going to be good for a long time. He's a young gentleman.
This is Arizona's finest. Like this lineup right here are some of the most racist people that Arizona has to offer. Like
Gina
Arizona's Hitlerites, all in one
She
corner
is
here.
doing maniac. Is
Acolytes of white
incredible.
supremacist
She's
Holocaust
incredible.
denier Nick Fuentes. Like,
She's
he straight
tough.
up has Nick Fuentes
She's smart.
staffers. Carrie
You
Lake
are
is also a
winning. You're
nut
running
job.
against the guy
Again,
that-
not going to win. No
Carrie.
God. Oh no, the crowd shots are definitely Trump's request.
And
Absolutely.
honestly, at
He
newscasts
slammed
for
this
20
meetup.
times,
100 P.
that up.
If Carrie Lake wins this race, it is entirely
Since
due to
Democrats
Democratic
didn't talk
Party
about
incompetence
Kamala's
on like
horrendous record last
dropping the or trying
For nearly 4
to
years,
angle the
Comrade
border issue from the
Harris.
perspective of
I use
like
that term
right-wing
downtown.
reactionary
Let's go.
sentiment
Love
and the
these
down
people.
ballot consequences of like a
Instead of
Trump
spending
victory in Arizona that comes from
$250,000 to
that.
oppose- She's a defunder of the police. She wants to defund all the things that we talk about.
Yeah, no.
Do I call her Comrade
goes up 5.
Kamala Harris, or do I not?
Up 9, up
Ready?
8.
That'll be
I don't think
better
people
than
understand,
anybody.
bro.
Okay.
Trump's
I'll say
issue
yes or
is
no.
that like
Yes.
he sticks to these losers. Like Republicans before Trump at least would like cut losers out. Like there would never be a moment like a Jamie Harrison getting to the top of the being in charge of the Democratic Party, right? Like Democrats love losers. Republicans historically used to cut losers, right? You lose, you're done. You snooze, you lose, you're out. Trump, on the other hand, values sycophants and loyalty more than anything else. So he literally will stick to them and will just like keep pushing them through, even if they're genuinely unelectable people. He also has a tendency to put loyalty over like electoral prowess when he'll run unaccomplished first-time Republican picks as well. Like that guy with the troop who got exploded. If I'm not mistaken, the guy in Nevada, that's a first-time candidate, right? Yeah,
Congo.
Sam Brown, this
They
guy.
come from
He finished in third in 2014,
They come
launched his
from
campaign to
all
become a
over the
U.S.
world, and they do
senator
come
from
from
Nevada in
South
2021.
America,
He raised
but
over
not
$1
only
million
from
every quarter of his
South
campaign,
America,
challenged
159
Adam
different
Laxalt, the
countries
Republican who
in
was
the
endorsed by
last
Donald
year.
Trump.
And they're
Brown
totally
received the support and
unchecked
endorsement of
and
local
unvetted.
state political party
Every
leaders, but lost in the
single
primary.
year,
And now he's doing another
all-time
Senate
high, illegal
campaign,
voter druple
challenging
what the
Jackie
year
Rosen.
before. She
Do I think RFK
destroyed
Jr. dropping out will have any major effects? No. It will have a minor effect. It will uncuck the polls a little bit for Trump in favor of Donald Trump. It'll make it a closer race for Donald Trump.
Yesterday, I was at the border with the victims of Kamala's migrant crime wave. One of them is here with us tonight. Michael Morin is the brother of Rachel Morin, who you know about. Rachel was a cherished 37-year-old mom of 5 absolutely incredible children, beautiful woman. Last summer, Rachel was out on a run when she was brutally raped and murdered by an illegal alien who was led into America by Kamala Harris. Let her in. Said, let her in. The animal who committed this heinous crime first killed another woman in El Salvador before walking across the open border. Just walked right in, no problem. He then attacked a 9-year-old girl and her mother in a home invasion in Los Angeles before murdering Rachel in cold blood.
They are parading around the same few of the 23 people, like the most high profile cases, because emotional anecdotes are very hard to combat. They're very, very, very hard to combat. And obviously Trump knows this. I mean, it's the easiest way to get dumb people on your side. Just use emotional anecdotes and make it seem like they are responsible for a much larger percentage of the share.
Who murdered an innocent man and his 2 sons and didn't even remember he did it. As California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person as a non-violent crime. Comrade Kamala Harris.
It's pretty crazy that he can like remember every single instance where like an undocumented migrant has committed a heinous act of violence.
We're doing well there too, but the governor is horrible. You know what he did? He approved a bill to give tampons in every young man's bathroom. Right?
Every time he
This is what
calls
we have-
Kamala Harris Comrade
Vice
Kamala,
President,
I suspect that
tampons
the Democrats move
in
further to the middle,
boys
cucking their
for
messaging.
years.
Also, I wanted to give a special thanks to the men and women of the Glendale Police Department, the best and most professional police department in the country. With a special thanks to Police Chief Chris Briggs and the other 8 West Valley Coalition departments that allowed us to use their law enforcement officers here today to keep us all safe.
What's the
It's an honorable
purpose of this guy? The most thumb-looking guy you can possibly get on stage so that Trump looks pro-cop. I mean, he is pro-cop. He's probably going to talk about how cops are not respected enough, even though our job is the hardest.
Let's also forget when President Donald Trump was president, he closed the borders and locked the door. Border czar Kamala Harris opened the door and let everybody in.
Boo.
Borders are, Kamala Harris is allowing millions of illegal immigrants into this country, turning each and every state into a border state and flooding American streets with drugs and crime. The Democrats haven't quite figured this out yet, but it's not rocket science. But open borders equals more crime.
Bro, it doesn't make sense. It like is not reflected in the crime data. You should go back to the drawing board and talk to your cop friends on why they're like cooking the crime data to make it seem like it's actually lower than ever. Like, what's going on? Is it because the FBI's in the pocket? Like, what's happening? Immigration is up. Okay, fine. Not anymore, but was. But crime went down in that process. So what are we supposed to make of this data? Well, that actually corresponds to the reality that undocumented migrants are responsible for less crime per capita than, you know, natural born U.S. citizens. So I guess more immigration equals less crime. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. If you're an illegal immigrant, that's the crime on its own. No, does that not count? Brother, they're not talking about someone crossing over the border, which used to be a misdemeanor. Okay. Crime, ultimately, it's just what you write in the books. Sometimes unjust things can be considered crimes. Slavery was not a crime, but freeing a slave was. Immigration crime turned into a larger crime under the Trump administration. Ultimately, it's still a border crossing. It's nothing. It's not really a serious offense. And that's precisely the reason why they don't talk about it like it's a serious offense. They talk about all these fake crimes. The Republicans obviously hammer on like culture war narratives and engage in a steady diet of fear mongering. And it's actually terrifying because once translated into legislation, it's like truly awful, horrific